13th of February, Rabbi, more Parsha Shavua. Hi, Yechiel.
Good afternoon. Where are you starting from today?
Okay.
I think we're in the very beginning of Mishpatim. Morning, Rabbi. Or good afternoon, Rabbi.
Good afternoon.
You look,
Hello. You can hear me?
yes?
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Okay. I guess you can't hear me.
Hello.
Yes?
Second. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. 1 second. Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes?
I can't hear you. Second. Hello.
I'm talking.
Talking. 1 second. I don't hear you. Do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Oh, so why don't I hear you? What's going on here? Ba-bam. Speakers. Hello. Oh,
Yes, I'm here. I'm talking now.
second. No, it's working. I don't hear you. Into that the words. Here. Speakers. Hello.
Yes, hello.
That's working. Depends on the wrong one. No. You hear me now? 1 second.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, now I can hear you. I had a problem. I know what happened. Yesterday I had a problem with my computer and I took out everything and I must have reconnected it in the wrong way. So I just reconnected it properly. Good. Okay, let's go.
All right.
Oh, by the way, before I forget, sounds anything. Tomorrow and Wednesday, I will not be here. Tomorrow I have to go for a colonoscopy, just a regular checkup, but that's going to be some time. And so I'm not going to be matched the morning. And Bezat on Wednesday, my son is making a bris in Haifa. So Yeah, so that's going to take off the whole morning.
Then on Thursday, I'm not going to be here. I have to go to the hospital for my my eye surgery preparation.
When is that going to be?
My appointment's at 11 o'clock on Thursday.
No, but I'm saying when is when is the actual surgery going to be?
I don't know. That's the point of the examination is to schedule it.
Understand? I see. You don't know when it's going to be. Okay, great.
I have to see.
Okay.
I'm taking eye drops because my eyes were not properly prepared. So they have to see if the drops have worked or if they need to give me more drops.
Okay, fine. Okay, so let's go.
Ve'ela hamishpatim asher tasim lifnehem. And these are the judgments that you shall place before them. Rashi says, and these are the judgments.
See, judgments, I'm not sure is the right word. It's a good word. I try to translate it as laws. Basically, Mishpatim are civil laws.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Kol makom shene'amar eleh, in every place where it says eleh, which means these, pasal es ha-rishonim, it rejected the previous statement.
Right.
Ve'eleh mosif al ha-rishonim. Wherever it says and these, as opposed to just these,
Right.
it as it does here, it adds on to that which has been previously stated. Thus, and these of this verse implies ma ha-rishonim misinai, just as those which have initially been stated on
Meaning that just like the mitzvahs were mentioned in last week's Parsha, aftermath of the 10 Commandments themselves, and there's some other mitzvahs which are mentioned in Shvi of last week's Parsha. Building an altar, not making molten images. Okay.
Af Ela Misinai, so too
Just like those.
these are from Sinai.
Right.
Ulama nismecha parashas dinin lifarashas mizbeach. And why was Mishpatim, the section that deals with judicial cases, juxtaposed with the preceding passage that deals with the altar?
Right.
Lomar lecha shetasim Sanhedrin etzel ha-mikdash. To tell you that you should place the Sanhedrin adjacent to the base Hamikdash.
Yeah.
You
so
know,
the first explain over here that
place of the altar, and the Sanhedrin is the place of the Mishpatim, the civil laws. So therefore, they're since the pasukim that discuss them are juxtaposed, so too they should be juxtaposed.
Right. And so in fact the Sanhedrin presided in what was called the Lishkas Hagozis, right? The Hall of Hewn Stone. Why it was called that, that's a separate issue, separate thing. But anyway, which was mamash adjacent to the Azara, to the courtyard of the Beis Hamikdash. And the Mefarshim explain over here that in Judaism, unlike other religions, Ben Adam Lachaveroi is part and part of our religion. It's not just you have religion going to shul and doing mitzvahs Ben Adam Lamokai, whereas Ben Adam Lachaveroi is left up to humanistic judgment. No, the Torah dictates to us, just as the Torah dictates to us mitzvahs Ben Adam Lamokai, how we're said to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, all the other mitzvahs Ben Adam Lamokai, so too the Torah dictates to us how we are to proceed with regard vis-a-vis our fellow man. And in that respect, Judaism is unique. It's different from all other religions.
Why do I care if it's different from all other religions?
Well, we're going to see in the next Rashi that a person shouldn't be misled to present his case. A person has a court case with somebody else. Okay? And he says to the thing, should we go to Bezdin or should we go to court? So his friend says, well, it's no difference, it's all going to come out the same thing. So just let's go to court and then make life easier. No. That's what we're going to see in the next Rashi.
Yeah, so what does that have to do with whether
No, because
Judaism?
No, I'm saying is that a person shouldn't think that, well, adjudication in a civil case is something which is up to the rabbis to decide, but it's not part of the Torah. It's not so. It's part of the Torah itself.
Okay.
A person who listens to a Dayan and fulfills what the Dayan tells him to do in a civil case, he's just as well as putting on tefillin that morning.
Right, but that has nothing to do with other religions. That has to do with our religion.
I understand. So I'm saying, so Rashi's going to say in the next thing, in the next Rashi, Rashi's going to point out that Asher Tosim Lifneihem, that you have to dafka bring your civil cases to Dayanim and not to bring it to Gosha courts. Okay, let's see the next Rashi.
Okay, let's see. Let's see. Asher Tasim Lifneihem, that you place before them. Amar Lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu LeMoshe. Hashem said to Moshe, Lo Sa'aleh al Da'ticha Lomar. Do not think that you should say Eshneh lahem ha perek v'ha-halacha shitayim o shalosh pe'amim. I shall teach them the chapter and the law 2 or 3 times. Ad shetehei sedura befihem ke mishnasa, until it is set in order in their mouths according to its format, i.e., until they have memorized it.
Right.
Eini matriach atzmi laha vinam ta'amei hadavar uferusho. But I shall not trouble myself to make them understand the reasons of the matter and its explanation. Lechach ne'amar asher tasim lifneihem. Therefore, it says that you shall place before them. Kishulchan ha'aruch umuchan le'echol livnei ha'adam, like a table that is
Lifnei Adam, yeah.
lifnei ha'adam, like a table that is set and prepared to be eaten from is placed before each person.
For a person, right. By the way, the terminology Shulchan Aruch comes from here.
So in
Okay.
other words, it has to explain the reasons. You can't just say,
Right.
let's memorize this stuff.
So therefore, you've got to place it before them, meaning it's as just like. By the way, it's interesting that in the Hebrew in Lashon HaKodesh there are two terms which are used, which have the meaning right, reason, right? We call it, there's a siba, which is used in my more modern Ivrit, right? The siba means the reason for, and there's the tam, which also has a meaning of taste. So the tam in our mitzvahs are the reasons behind the mitzvahs, but they give it a taste of the mitzvah. Means we can understand what the mitzvah is about. So therefore, the Maisa, Chazal say the Maisa, that's the reason why that term is used, because it's a taste, but it's not necessarily the be all and end all. Even things we may come to a situation where we think, well, the reason doesn't apply, so I'm not going to do the mitzvah. No, person's going to fulfill the mitzvah anyway. But like upon him, but the idea is, like Rashi says over here, that's a keshulchan ha'aruch hamuchan lechol b'fnei adam. The person has the food there, and he has the gewaldige taste of the food, even though technically without the taste, he could technically eat it, right? And would give him nourishment, but the taste gives it gives him a taste. It means it gives it a how should you say, a geschmackkeit to eat, to be able to eat it. It makes it enjoyable, palatable for him to eat it. So too, Moshe Rabbeinu was told, give over the reasons for the mitzvahs in order to make it palatable and enjoyable for the Jewish people to keep the mitzvahs. Okay? Yeah.
Okay.
Next Rashi.
Lifneihem, before them. Lo lifnei goyim, but not before non-Jews. Va'afilu yadata badin echad, even if you know about a certain matter of law, shehem danin oso kidinei Yisrael, that they judge it according to the law of Israel, al tivi'ehu be'arkaos shelahem, do not bring it to their courts, sheha mevi dine Yisrael lifnei goyim, for one who brings legal matters of Israel before non-Jews, Mechalel es Hashem, desecrates the name of God.
Right.
Ume yaker shem avodah zara, and accords esteem
Honor.
to idol worship.
Right. To the
Shiva, by
to give it
importance to it. Shne'amar ki lo kitsurenu tsuram v'oivenu palilim. For it says, for their rock is not like our rock, and yet our enemies judge us.
right.
Kishe oivenu pelilim. when our enemies judge us, Zahu edus le ilui yir asam. It is testimony to the superiority of their deity.
Right. So maybe a person may think, well, what difference does it make if I go to a Jewish court or a Goyish court? On the contrary, going to a Goyish court says you got one of two options. Either they're not going to give the same decision as a Jewish court, in which case you're still doing wrong, because you're going to come out with a court decision going against the Torah. But no, but on the other hand, you think, well, if they decide the same way as the Torah, as Dayanim would, so maybe I'm not going against the Torah. That's even worse, because if you had a choice now, could have presented in front of Dayanim, or presented in front of a non-Jewish court, and then presented in front of a non-Jewish court that says, you think the non-Jewish judges are better performers than the Jewish judges. And therefore, that in itself is giving credibility, not just credibility, but importance to the non-Jews.
So why is it that in America you're allowed to go to a non-Jewish court if you go to Beis Din and your opponent does not follow the halacha, the psak din?
That is true, but again, you first have to go get the approval of Beis Din to do so.
Right, but again, you're giving importance to the non-Jewish court. Why is that allowed?
No, because if you, let's say the guy swindles you or he owes you $2 million, right? Now, he knows that, and he knows if he doesn't turn up in a Jewish court in the Beis Din, right, there's no way Beis Din can enforce him to pay the $2 million. So he thinks, okay, so I'm not going to come to Beis Din.
I'm sorry,
So
I have to myself for a second. I have an important call I have to take.
Okay, fine.
I apologize.
Anyway,
I'll make it fast.
Okay.
Hello.
Anyway, Yechiel, you're with me. Yeah. Anyway, you have to realize that sometimes the opponent in a court case is fully aware that the Beis Din doesn't have full power to enforce its psak. So they'll take advantage of it. So therefore, one's allowed to go to a Beis Din will give an approval to go to a non-Jewish court to make sure that the victim of the one who's has the right of claim, okay, and he will be able to get his money. Okay. Yeah. We'll start on Pasuk base. Okay. Ki sikneh eved ivri. You buy a Hebrew servant. Well, we'll see. Rashi's going to says what that means. So the word eved ivri could be read of one of two ways. It could mean a ivri being an adjective, a description of who the eved is, right? A Jewish slave, a Hebrew slave, or it can mean eved shel ivri, the servant, the slave of an ivri. And this is what Rashi is going to discuss over here. Who we're talking about. In which case, no, if it's talking about a servant of a Hebrew, of a Jewish person, it could well be that the Eved is not Jewish. So we see in the Rashi, Rashi is going to discuss this. Kisikne Eved Ivri. So Rashi says, gives an opening, an explanation of what that means. Eved Shehu Ivri means a servant who is a Hebrew, who is Jewish. Rashi says, oh yeah, maybe not. Avdoi Shel Ivri. Maybe it's referring to the servant of a Jewish person. I.e. Eved Kanani, a non-Jewish servant, Shelakhoso Israel, whom the one Jew acquired from another Jew. And about him it says, this non-Jewish servant, Sheish Shonim Yavodi, has to work for 6 years. Means if one Jew buys a servant from another Jew, a non-Jewish servant, yeah, the second owner can only work him for 6 years. Oh, I state a pasuk in Parshas Bahar. There it says also with regarding acquiring servants, it says "Visnachaltem oisam livnechem acharechem," which means you can give it over as an inheritance. Means this servant is your permanent property, not limited in time. Okay,
I see.
but right, that is talking about belakuach min anochri. That's where a Jew buys a non-Jewish slave, a servant, from a non-Jew. Ava belakuach mi Yisrael. But if the second Jew buys it from the first Jew who owns this eved, who owns this servant, I might think the second owner can only have it for a limited time. And yet, say b'sheish, goes out after 6 years back to the first owner. That's what I might have thought. That's what it means over here.
I'll bring him next
The
time.
answer is no. Talmud loimba. Elsewhere it says, in Parshas Re'eh, ki mocher lecha ochicha ha'ivri. Right? If it's sold to you, your brother, the Hebrew, which means that he himself is selling himself as a servant. I only said this with regards to your brother, meaning even if the Jew himself, this is what the din is when you say that he's limited to working for him for 6 years, that is only talking about an Eved Ivri, a servant who himself is a Jew. But if we're talking about a servant who's a goy, even if I buy this servant from another Jew, the servant has to work full time. He's my property. This non-Jewish servant is considered my property, my chattel, and I can work with him. He's my servant. He remains my servant forever, unless I decide to sell him. But otherwise, it's my fully fledged property.
I don't know.
Okay? Now, there's another important Rashi here, next one. Ki sikneh. So the pasuk says, Ki sikneh eved ivri. When you acquire a Jewish servant, miyad based in. From who do you acquire it? From based in. Okay? It doesn't say who the seller is.
Yeah, she wants to know why it took so long to
they sold him because he stole. There's a law, not like necessarily in the Goysha courts, that if somebody says, I don't have any money to pay up, so he says, okay, just too bad. No, in the Jewish courts, it's an obligation on the thief that he's got to pay. And if he doesn't have what to pay, we got to make sure he gets the money to pay. So here, what's the eights over here? We have him being sold, we sell him to somebody, that somebody should now acquire him as a servant. And with the money he's going to give in exchange for acquiring him for a servant, then this servant, the thief, can pay back for the item that he stole.
3 men.
Okay? So that's what it means. Shemachru b'gnei v'asek. K'mo shenema, im ein loy, he doesn't have with what to pay, right? It says later on in chapter Chov Beis, Pasuk Beis, im ein loy v'nimkar b'gnei v'asek. Then he's sold for his theft. Because of what he stole, he's got to be sold as a slave, as a servant, and with the money he receives, he's got to pay back the person from whom he stole. Maybe we're talking about over here that somebody who's very poor and decides to sell himself to make a bit of money, okay, in order he should have money to live on, or to pay back his chayvos, okay? So maybe that's what we're talking about over here. Kisigna Eved Ivri, by a Hebrew servant, and the reason why he's selling himself is because he's so poor. But somebody who's sold by Bezdin is not limited to 6 years. He can serve longer. So Rashi says no. Says in Parshas Bahar, if your brother becomes poor with you and he's sold to you, that's talking about somebody who sells himself out of poverty, out of his dire straits. What it says over here, when you buy, mashma, you're doing the positive action of buying, not he's selling himself. That's talking about benimka bezdin. That's where he sold in Bezdin. Yeah.
Sorry about my having to leave. That was an important call.
Okay. I'll just end off. I did the Rashi all the way in Posset base till the last thing. I just want to say, I'll just end off. Lachofshi. Rashi says, what does lachofshi mean? Lecherus, to freedom. Okay? Now it's interesting. I just pointed out, I think I mentioned this last year as well. Cherus, what is the difference between chofshi and cherus? Is there any difference? Well, obviously Rashi seems to reply yes, because otherwise why does Rashi need to make this point out that the chofshi means the cherus? Anyway, I'll just tell you in very, very short. Chofshi means somebody who is free for himself. He can do whatever. He has no restrictions and no rules to him. He can do what he likes. He can do what he likes. But Cherus, we have a famous Chazal, which is on Parshas Kisisa. It says that when the Moshe Rabbeinu brought down the first set of tablets, first set of luchos, says the writing was written at Chorus ala luchos, engraved upon the tablets of stone. And Chazal say, "Al tikro chorus elo cherus, she'enecha ben chayrin elo mi she'isik b'Torah." Who's considered a real ben chayrin is somebody who learns Torah. Okay, I'm not going to go into the full chat, but so what Rashi means over here, a person shouldn't think, he's this Eved Ivri, he's after he worked for 6 years and he's been employed by this master. So now it's time to go free, he can do what he likes. No, he's going lecherus, meaning he's realized he's still bound by all the mitzvahs. He's now he's free of this human master. He's now got to concentrate on serving his godly master, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So therefore he's only going lecherus. He's going to a situation where he's now a ben chayrin, who is now somebody who's Osik b'Torah. He's now got to make sure that he keeps the mitzvahs and learns Torah now that he's a free man. Okay? On that note,
a non-Jewish slave is obligated for the mitzvahs of a woman, correct?
Right. By the way,
all
but it has to
Jewish slaves, or only those who choose to get a bris and go to mikveh?
The latter.
So what is this?
Anybody, let's say, I got my Schwarzer, excuse me for using the terms, but on the days in the times there was apartheid. So somebody, a fine Yid, acquired a Schwarzer Negro to be his servant, and it was his property. Yeah, it was his, right? Ratified in the court of law that this black person belongs to him, is his servant. This servant is chai b'mitzvahs? The answer is no. because there was no acceptance upon him to keep the mitzvahs. And he didn't have tefillah, didn't immerse himself, he didn't do milah, so he's nothing. He's just his maybe considered on South African law it was considered his property, but that's more than that. He has no special religious status as far as Judaism is concerned. So by the way, but if you stam a goy, let's say a goy comes to me and says to me, listen, I want to be your servant. I have to acquire him in order for him to be able to immerse himself and do milah l'shem avdos, right? He has to also be my property as well. It's got to be my eved. You can't just come along and say, okay, I'm going to do tefillah and milah, and therefore I'm going to be your, and I'm saying I'm going to be your servant. I'm going to take upon myself to serve you, but without any monetary or legal status, it doesn't work. You need a combination of the two. You with me?
Yeah.
Lou, you're looking a little bit perplexed.
Well, I'm just trying to understand what the situation is if he doesn't do that. He's not obligated in the mitzvahs, and he's just a Eved Kanani with no
With no dinim of an Eved Kanani. He's like an employed, maybe under a bound, what do you call it, a tied worker. Okay, but not more than that.
Okay.
Okay. We
All
should
right,
have a good
Rabbi. Have a good day.
okay. Fine, I'll see you on Thursday. Oh, by the way, Lou, do you want me to arrange somebody else to give the share?
No, I don't think so, unless Yechiel does. Yechiel, you want
what's with Meir?
for somebody else? I don't know. Meir's wife is in and out of the hospital these days. So
Oh wow.
that's why he's
okay, so let's leave it then. Let's leave it. Okay. Fine. Okay.
So I will not be here.
Thursday.
I will not be here on Thursday.
Okay, and then I'll host it on Meet.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Very
Fine.
good.
Very good. Be well. Culture. Bye bye.
All right. Bye bye.